Greetings, beautiful beings, and welcome to the Breathing Bar. I'm Ahuvyah, your bartender, today and every day. Thank you for joining us as we delve into creating these elixirs and tonics as we navigate this thing called living while human. So before we get into our little conversation or my little monologue for the day, I'm going to tell you what I'm sipping on and what I'm nibbling on. I am sipping on elixirs tea, and this is a really root-smelling, hickory wood burning, just yummy smelling tea, and it's really good for the respiratory system and the digestive system and all that's interconnected. So right now I'm going through my 18th round of this particular strand of something that I've had. It seemed like the whole year. I don't define things and I don't go to the doctor, so I always just deal with the symptoms, mental and emotional and spiritual. Because I look at everything, no matter what's happening to me, I bring it to me. So I always have to say, okay, why did you bring this virus? What frequency is it? What's in your head? What frequency you using? What's going on in your body? Are you keeping your thoughts relative to your body and mind at a frequency that's going to keep your cells working at a higher frequency? So I have to interconnect all these dots with myself. So anyway, the elixirs tea is like my first time really delving into it. And I've seen it over the years, but I really enjoy it. It is one of the bitters, but I enjoy the bitters. I've also been doing my ginger, garlic, aloe. Yeah, I've been going hard. But anyway, it's beautiful to be able to see and figure out how to balance yourself with what you have. So anyway, that's what I've been drinking on. And to eat, really simple, I just had a hummus and mixed vegetable wrap with a little bit of tabbouleh. And I do the tabbouleh that is really partially in tomatoes with a tad bit of grain, but it was really good. And so that's what we were eating on today. And at the Breathing Bar, we have a lot of different recipes and a lot of different things that we're going to be adding in. I used to give recipes and dishes when I first started, and then I just kind of backed away from it. So I think I'm going to finally put the little Breathing Bar nibbles book together so that you can kind of have something to use at home. So that'll be a project for the fall. Okay, I have enough going on this spring and this summer. So our topic for today is, are you ready to take responsibility for how life is showing up for you? Are you ready to take responsibility for how life is showing up for you? And a lot of times people may say, like, how are you showing up for life, your life? How do you show up for yourself, your life? But at the end of the day, because we're so out of control with life and the understanding of life and ourselves, how well or how much are you ready to take responsibility for how life shows up for you, which means how you bring life to you, how you bring your everyday realities to you. And it goes back to the universal laws. And many times we let outside variables, or we give credit to, or we give other people, other situations, other institutions responsibility for how life shows up for us. We say, okay, I have to go to work 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week. So, we say our jobs, I have to do that. So therefore, I can only take responsibility for partial. I have to go to work. So for some reason, when we say we have to, it makes it seem like we don't have to take responsibility for it, that it's, outside of our control. Whereas if we created a life where we didn't have to, then maybe we'd be more comfortable taking responsibility. And we'd like to take responsibility for how the beautiful things manifest in our lives. And I'm not saying that to say we don't take responsibility for things that go wrong, or mistakes that we made, or just relationships or situations that we bring in that aren't what we want. But when we look at this whole concept of taking responsibility for how life shows up for you, being able to look at everything, every moment of every day and say, how did life show up for me right now? What was that? What did I bring in? And I've been doing that a lot with my health, with my family, with how I think about different things. I may feel a certain way about a situation, or when I'm driving in here in DC, which is wacky, of course, somebody will do something crazy, and all of a sudden a feeling will rev up in me, or an instant thought of that jerk, or that was so stupid, they were dumb. And then I pull myself back, and it's just like, what they did may not have been cool. But I have to be able to say, okay, that doesn't mean you judge the person doing it. You don't know the person doing it. You don't know why they're doing it. You just address the action, pull back, and regather yourself, taking any energy off of that being, of being anything more than just someone like the rest of us trying to figure out life while we're living as humans. And so it's been interesting because these thoughts come so quickly that you can't even catch them. And then before you know it, you put yourself in a funk, or something happens, or you pay for something and don't get what you want. And then you try to go back and get resolution. Of course, the resolution is never as quick as when you buy it. Everybody's always ready to sell you a car. But the minute you get it and something goes wrong, trying to get someone on the phone can be like, really? And that's just my analogy. And so a part of you wants to get a feeling about it and start passing judgment. But when I do that, I have to look how life shows up for me. When I do that, crazy stuff happens. When I really start passing judgment or get angry, like I'll be tying my shoes and hit my head against the table. That happened. It's still sore. I'll get a thought and I'll be thinking that thought. I was thinking that thought. I was tying my shoe. I came up and hit my head on the bottom of the table. And right when that happened, I knew, it's like, okay, Ahuvyah, check yourself. And I did. So now I'm checking myself and watching, because I want to be in control of how life shows up for me. Because I don't know how to show up for life in a balanced way. Life shows up for me. And then it gives me the chance to find the balance and to navigate myself around how life is showing up for me. Ultimately continuing to bring balance so that I'll be able to one day be able to show up for life. And that may sound kind of etheric, but it's real, because life is something that allows us to express our humanness in a way that gives us a level of peace when we understand it, when we have more responsibility and take more control of ourselves. So that's what I want to talk about today. Can you take responsibility when life shows up for you, whether you understand it or not? And that can be challenging. It really can. Because most of the time you don't understand it. Because you're torn between the etheric realm and the more dense physical realm that causes us to, like, again, say, place blame or put the responsibility on something or someone else. And we see that a lot these days. The moment you take full responsibility for everything in your life, so many other things lose power. They lose importance. I told someone I love dearly today that this is really not a big deal. It really doesn't matter like that. I didn't say it in those words, but it's more like, don't make it a big deal. When you stop making things a big deal, you don't tie your energy into it, and you can allow it to flow and be in a much lighter space. You experience it from more angles when you're not making it a big deal, because as you make it a big deal, you start defining and putting ideas and thoughts around whatever it is. So that's all I want to talk about, beautiful beings. How ready are you to take responsibility for how life shows up for you? So, you all have a beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. And know that the breathing bars continue to expand and grow, and we will be here continuing to serve tonics and elixirs, assisting everyone with these little tiny drinks and thoughts and views as you continue to navigate living while human. Much love.